from the Democratic Republic of the Congo. I'm involved in social movements like Extinction Rebellion, Amani Institute, and Lucha. That stands for Struggling for Change. So, the Democratic Republic of the Congo is a potential solution to the climate and environmental crisis threatening the entire planet. Notwithstanding its solution potential, fossil fuel companies such as Perenco, Simpion Power Red, Winds Exploration and Production LLC, Alfajiri Energy Corporation, and the country's political administrative authorities, including the President of the Democratic Republic of the Congo and the Minister of Hydrocarbons, have been committed since July 2022 to auctioning off a vast part of the Congo Basin for oil and gas exploitation. This comes at a time when the Democratic Republic of the Congo has signed a 500 million agreement at COP26 to halt and reverse deforestation in the Congo Basin. Worry of this commitment, the DRC is now bidding for the sale of 27 oil blocks and 3 gas blocks, then homes to be conserved for the sake of local communities, biodiversity, and the global climate. The blocks up for sale cover some of the planet's last intact forests and protected areas, rich in biodiversity and home to local communities estimated at nearly 20 million inhabitants. However, historical analysis and the current evolution of the process suggests an increased risk of indebtedness, potentially with no net benefit for the state. The DRC, victim of an unjust and illegal colonial financial debt of 46 billion Belgian francs since 1960 century. Currently has over 10 billion in public debt as of 2019. Some of the proposed oil blocks directly encroach on protected areas and UNESCO World Heritage Sites, including Virunga and Upemba National Parks in the Congo Basin, and the world's largest tropical peat bog, where drilling could release up to 6 billion tons of carbon, over 14% of the world's total greenhouse gas emissions. The experience of Ecuador, where much of the extensive deforestation of the Amazon has taken place along the access roads to the oil fields, is sufficient proof that the clearing of much of the forest to make way for the roads is simply predictable, extending the zone of impact far beyond the specific areas listed in the call for tenders. In the end, what can we expect from these sales if the dividends generated by the wealth of natural resources being exploited continue to benefit only a minority oligarchy to the detriment of local communities left to fend for themselves in the face of the environmental damage and destruction of their road infrastructure inherent in this exploitation? These investments in hydrocarbons, unfortunately, perceived as an economic windfall by the Congolese authorities, are not only harmful to the environment, but also cause considerable impacts on communities and indigenous populations in terms of respiratory illnesses. These impacts will also result in massive displacement, expropriation, and disruption of their socio-economic activities. And what's worse, after reaping huge profits, enormous profits, the oil companies leave behind bare, impoverished and polluted sites, much to the chagrin of the indigenous populations who benefit nothing from the oil windfall. This choice by the government is not only irrational, but also and above all insensitive to the Congolese people and their living conditions. The authorities in Kinshasa, the capital city of the country, should heed the voices raised and respect their obligations to protect the rights of rural and indigenous communities and of those who will ultimately have to pay the heaviest price for this exploitation. By the way of background, the Democratic Republic of the Congo is home to one of the world's largest tropical forests, covering half of its total surface area. It is also considered as the planet's second Greenland after the Amazonian rainforest. For more than 3 decades, the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of the Congo has been facing a multidimensional security and humanitarian crisis marked by armed conflict and natural disasters, resulting in some 7 million internally displaced people and 12 million deaths. These problems include the effects of global warming, heavy river flooding, prolonged drought and erosion. This situation increases the vulnerability of women and girls to various forms of gender-based violence. Violence against women and girls is linked to cultural and social norms in the east part of the Democratic Republic of the Congo. For example, rape is used as a weapon of war. No one knows the exact number of women victims of social violence. A report by the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees indicates that in the first 3 months of 2022, there were 10,000 cases of sexual and gender-based violence in the provinces of North Kivu and South Kivu and Ituri, with an estimated of 66% of cases of rape, or around 6,600 women and girls. Most women and girls who are victims of sexual violence do not seek help or do not report it for fear of being stigmatized by the community. Most women victims of sexual violence are rejected by their husbands or for fear of reprisals from their tormentors. The DRC is systematically planned by foreign companies in collusion with neighboring countries, including Rwanda of the Congo, where a rebellion known as the M23 has its supporters in Rwanda and enjoys the blessing of the international community because of the blood minerals looted from the Congo. These include coltan, niobium, cobalt, and so forth and so on. It's unfair and it has to stop. So it's high time foreign companies stopped their extractive activities, which are at the root of the security crisis in the DRC, and paid for the damage and harm caused. Because it's not right that the countries of the South should continue to suffer the pollution of the rich countries. Signed in Goma, DRC, September the 10th, 2024. Thank you very much.